your eyes do not deceive you, even though I wish they did. I do not have these on. The Angry Anime Fan, the Despair Reviewer, is here for some reason, here to bring a review of the early releases of Dr. Stone. For some reason, they were released early. Well, not Dr. Stone, Black Clover, but for some reason, I was gonna say Jump Chapter. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty... I don't really like that we released that early. But Black Clover finally was translated, and we see a little bit backstory on the guy of Henry, the ghost of the base. And we see that many enhance their magic through the mana. And Henry maintains his life force for his magic. And at first it's thought that the mana was just, well, the mana, so to speak, that allowed him to become what he is. However, his disease says that he has to maintain his life force through magic. His organs, blood vessels, muscles have all been crippled and enfeebled. So without mana, all of that will stop, and that is why he is slowly dying. And he was apparently born into a famed noble family, but was weak and fragile. And of course the noble family was a bit worried what they were going to do about this. Because it was going to be tarnished, even though they said it is our son. But his family nor the world could accept him the way he was. So all they did was... so the only thing the warped love they gave him was a single little house with just a reserve of mana from one house in the middle of the forest, so to keep the victims absolute minimum. And Henry was dead until he met everyone else there. Because of Yami's kindness, he was saving all. But back to the present, Elf Gosh uses a new ultimate attack. As he summons dozens of mirrors. And since the sword tracks down mana, that by sending dozens of mirrors, Asta can cannot control the anti-magic, so he's swinging around. So as Elf Mari summons a new ones, Henry uses the base to get in close, as Asta reveals that he can only maintain his black form about 2.5 times, and since he has gone on that form already twice, he can only use it halfway a third time, so to speak. As they travel using a pretty nice, that almost looks like a ship, Grey turns the magic convert into a mirror in hopes of reflecting the eye. However, unfortunately that proves futile, as even the mirrors begins to destroy those mirrors. So Henry launches out the others, and launches out himself, as Elf Gosh thinks that is a sacrifice. It's in a way revealed yes to be that way. And here is something that happened that I actually suspected would happen. However, it didn't really happen the way I thought it would happen. And anyway, I actually suspected that one way to stop Elf Gosh would be to have Henry almost in between them, or I mean close to him, so he could drain his mana. Unfortunately, since Elf Gosh, well, is an elf, even if he managed to drain some of his mana, it is not enough to paralyze him. As and it's revealed that when he is outside of the base, the loop of his magic absorption is broken. And since this isn't his real magic, the eye magic won't defend against it. But Elf Gosh still has enough reserve to launch one final attack. As Henry proclaims that is enough, that as long as he can die fighting along someone else, Asta proclaims that he's not gonna die, and Henry remembers the time Asta found him. Apparently Jami was very casual and talked about Henry, and yet he didn't mention him a single bit to the other Black Bull members. But since he had no mana to drain, Asta could just go to Henry and just talk to him. And someday he proclaims he was gonna join the team. And Asta, the kind boy he was, said he was sure of that. And it's during that time remembering that even though Henry wanted to sacrifice himself for his friends, he also realized he wants to live for his friends. So as he cries the tears, Gosh, no, sorry, not Gosh, Gordon and Gray. Now when I think about it, there are three people with the G in their name there. Pretty confusing. As Gosh sends out poison to the mirrors, Asta suddenly throws his magic rune sword almost at the Henry, and Gray converts the poison into a cloud. And here is actually a little bit confusing, at least for me. So I'm trying to see if I can actually understand this correctly. Asta throws one of his swords, and Henry converts the Gray converts the poison into wool, so both she and Henry can land safely. And when Asta threw the sword, he was still in his demonic form, and got in close to the sword, and successfully managed to land a hit on Gosh. But it's worth noting that he doesn't land a hit on Mary. He only lands a hit on Elf Gosh. The question is, though, is that enough to break it? He once said that they needed to land a numerous amount of hits, so it's very unlikely that one hit will end this despair. However, Asta now went into his new mode, so if that doesn't break Elf Gosh's control, then what is going to happen? But if history is any reputation, it's very likely that now Elf Gosh is going to end, maybe. And even if this will knock out Elf Gosh, it's, as I said before, the sword doesn't reach Elf Mary. So it's very likely she is going to go on a rampage now. And, well, none of the team is going to have enough power to, well, defeat her. So the question is, what has won? Despair or hope? Not exactly a good way I wanted this manga to end. I mean, that doesn't mean it's bad. No, it was a very good chapter. It's just that the despair is strong right now, and I want to know who won, or does we even have a winner yet? As I said before, it's so very confusing what just happened in that end, in the end there. Or maybe it was like this. Maybe it was like this. Asta threw the sword in order to deflect against the beam that Elf Gosh was launching, and then flew with the other sword close to Gosh, Elf Gosh, when he was, well, in the berserker mode. Well, not berserker mode, in that moment. Either way, he reached him as attack. So what will happen next, I have no idea. We will have to wait for a very long time to happen that. So yeah, it was an emotional chapter. Henry did come from a noble family, and they did indeed give up on him. But he once said he don't know if a family abandoned him or if they're dead. But it seems in the end, his family abandoned him. Yes, out of noble pride. Truly a cruel world. But a lot of the Black Bulls do have a tragic backstory. I mean, even Gosh himself has that. So, please, hope, let free Gosh and Mary. But again, I don't think it will be that simple. So you give me your thoughts if you have any.